would like for us to compare and contrast this experience of Abraham and the one with Martha and Mary, and then look at some of the drama of our day. Because here we have Abraham who welcomes his guests and has Sarah busy about preparing this flower, but he really pays attention and he's very present to them. And this is that art of hospitality. To have it's attention also here. To be reverent, to be paying attention, and to do the work, to take the steps. Many of you are gracious about this in your homes. And then to contrast, we have this story of Jesus going to the home of his friends. And Mary is seated at his feet, listening, praying, being attentive. And it was a very dramatic scene because a woman in that day would not be seated by the rabbi. So that's already a significant step that's made. And Martha decides to tell God what to do. I mean, she is really upset because she's all stirred up, saying, I'm doing all this work. I'm kind of exhausted with serving, and here she is, just sitting there. And so she says to Jesus, aren't you going to do something about this? Aren't you going to tell Mary to get up and get to work? And then he really surprises by saying, there's only one thing that's really important, and that is to be present. And Mary has chosen the better part. So this awareness of a presence. One of the things that's important that people often do with this parable, which is, I think, unfortunate, is we say, the Martha part doesn't count. It's actually not true. The work of hospitality, the work in the kitchen, the service is very important. It's just, where's the balance for us? Because when we are hosting someone, that I can really pay attention and acknowledge their presence like I can and I'm called to with God. I had an experience this last week. There's a group of us that were in university college together, and we started in 1969, before most of you were born, at least a lot of you. In 1969, we gathered once a year to play golf. And so it's just wonderful. I mean, I was hosting this time. So one from Michigan, one from Arizona, another from Bismarck, so New Ulm. We kind of come around. It's a small group relatively, but it's a treasure. So Father John and I got everything organized because I'm going golfing with my friends, and we're going to have dinner here and all that kind of stuff. And so when two of the guys arrived, they left them with their wives with a friend in La Crescent. They said, our wives are going to come this afternoon and prepare the meal for you. I go, I don't really need them. But they were like Martha, They're going to do this because this poor old priest isn't able to do it. And so anyway, I'm looking at them. He said, well, you look like you're not interested, like you don't want it. And I said, I don't. I mean, we are ready to go, and we'll be fine. So you really want me to call them and tell them? I said, yeah. They can come and enjoy the hospitality and be present here, and we'll pay attention. So that's what happened, and we did well. But what's really important here is we got that now. I want to provoke and be provocative for myself, for you, about the drama, the horrific wound and wounds of our world and of our lives. Because it's applicable, Martha, Martha, and Mary. It seems to me. We hear all of these painful experiences, and we are so helpless. And it provokes me. I watch the news, I read about it, I get all engaged, as we should. We need to know what's happening. But what happens to me, it seems, is I am a Martha about it. I am preoccupied, I am distracted with this pain, with no answer, with how's this happening, and I'm not a beggar. What would it be like? Because you know what's interesting? To hear prime ministers, presidents, public officials, people who serve in our behalf, I hear them say consistently, our prayers go out to you, France. Our prayers go out to you, Orlando. Our prayers go out to you, Istanbul, Bangladesh. We say it routinely and automatically. But do we believe it? Or do we do it? Me too. Because that would be the merry part. I am a beggar, and I believe that these wounds that are so beyond our imagination, in a sense, they're so huge, they're so out of control. But our leaders tell us that our prayer, our begging, goes out to them. Martha, there's just one thing that is needed, and it is to stay in the presence of God. You know, we get in a mode that we can tolerate all of this if we just avoid it or don't get confronted by it. But the unity comes in the begging. Think of our own lives. We have wounds. Wounds in our families, wounds in our marriages, wounds with our children. And many times, those wounds were hurt, and we feel helpless, and we can be beggars. Being preoccupied, being distracted, trying to get it all figured out. Many times we learn and say, you know what, it's not possible. We can't change this so much. But we need to live with this as a beggar. And these wounds of the world, they have an effect on us. We can say, but it's over there, and it's under there, and it's up there. But it has an effect on us. And we need to come and sit in His presence and believe and trust that our begging is a step in the midst of what is so violent, so horrific, so out of order. So the automatic, routine, me too. I can say what's automatic and routine about begging a presence. And the ultimate question, do I believe it could make a difference? Or is it just a nice thing to say? Or, I don't know what else to say. What would it be like, I conclude with this, in the midst of this to say, I want to get on my knees in my bedroom because I feel the fragility of the wound of the world. And I don't need another commentary. I don't need another news blitz, and those are very important. I watch it a lot. and trying to somebody who's going to give the clarity. That's the Martha part. I have a need to beg from a presence that I trust, believe in, and love for the unity of a broken world.